Hey guys, I have started this series that is Crack Your Java Interview. In this series, I'll cover each and every question and topic that you may encounter in your Java interview. In this particular video, we are going to cover JVM, JRE, and JDK's all possible interview questions in depth. So let's get started. The first question is, can you please tell me the difference between JVM, JRE, and JDK? The JVM, JRE, and JDK are core components of Java programming. The JVM or Java Virtual Machine is where our Java program runs. It's like the engine that drives Java applications. The JRE or Java Runtime Environment contains the JVM and also the libraries Java programs need to run. It's like a package that is necessary to run Java programs. Lastly, the JDK or Java Development Kit contains everything in the JRE plus tools like compilers and debuggers needed to develop Java applications. So if we just want to run Java programs, we need the JRE, but if we want to create them, we need the JDK. Now moving to the second question, can a Java application be run without installing the JRE? We cannot run Java application without having the JRE because it has essential tools and libraries the applications need to work, but there are cool tools called Jailing and GraalVM in newer Java versions that lets us bundle our Java application with its own little version of JRE. Moving to the third question, is it possible to have the JDK installed without having the JRE? No, the JDK contains a JRE. It is not possible to have the JDK without the JRE, as the JRE contains essential components for running Java applications, which the JDK also uses for development. Is Java being compiler based or interpreter based? Actually, Java uses both a compiler and an interpreter as a part of its execution process. Here's how they work together. First is compiler. When we write Java code, it is first compiled by Java compiler. This compiler translates our Java source code, means .java files, into the bytecode .class file, which is an intermediate platform independent code. Now, interpreter comes into the picture. The Java virtual machine then interprets this bytecode. This interpreter within the JVM reads the bytecode and translates it into the machine code for execution. Now moving to the fifth question, can multiple instances of the JVM run simultaneously on a single machine? Yes, we can run multiple Java virtual machines at the same time on one computer. Each JVM works on its own, running separate Java programs without interfering with each other. This is useful when we want to keep different Java applications separate so they don't clash, or if one has problem, it doesn't affect the other. Is the Java platform independent? The Java virtual machine itself needs to be specific to each operating system like Windows, Mac OS or Linux, which means it's not platform independent. However, the Java program we write are platform independent. This means we can write a Java program once and run it on any operating system as long as it has appropriate JVM installed. Hey guys, do you know that we have designed a complete interview preparation package structured step by step containing 16 PDFs? So it's basically a one-stop solution to crack any interview. This package covers core Java, Spring Framework, Maven, Git, Spring Boot, scenario-based questions, Spring Security, Spring MVC, Spring Data JPA, microservices, Hibernate, general Java coding question, Stream API coding question, and many more. The best part is that people have been telling me that they cracked their interviews with this material, and there's a 99% chance that the interviewers will ask questions from this package. So I will add a link of this package in the description of this video. Now moving to seventh question, explain the JVM architecture in detail. The JVM has few main parts that helps run Java program. First, there is a class loader which loads the Java files into the JVM. Then we have the memory areas, which is like the memory space where the program's data is stored while it's run. Next is the execution engine. This part takes Java's special code called bytecode and turns it into simple instructions that our computer can understand and follow. It also uses a trick called just-in-time compilation to make everything run faster. Lastly, there is a Java native interface and native method libraries. These helps Java program work with other types of programs not written in Java, allowing more flexibility. Now let's understand by an example. Suppose we have a class named abc.java. When we start our program, the JVM's class loader reads the abc.java file. It loads all the class information such as methods and variables declaration into the JVM. The JVM allocates memory for our program in the memory area. This includes memory for storing class data, the method call stack, and space for any objects we create in our program. The execution engine takes over next. It reads the bytecode, the compiled version of our abc.java, and converts it into instruction that the computer's process can execute. It takes help of just-in-time compiler, which optimizes the bytecode into the faster machine code as the program runs, especially focusing on the parts of the code that are used most frequently. If our programs includes any native methods, that is code written in languages like C or C++, the Java native interface handles this instruction, allowing our Java program to use these non-Java methods. So that's how a program gets executes. Moving to the 8th question, explain the memory storage is available in the JVM. The JVM uses different areas of memory to store data and manage our program while it's running. Here are the main parts with example. First is heap. This is where all the objects our program creates are stored. For example, if a program creates a new student object, it's stored in the heap. This part of memory is shared among all the threads running in a program. Basically, a thread is nothing but it's like a separate pathway that's allow a program to perform multiple tasks simultaneously. Second is a stack. Each thread in our program has its own stack. This is where the JVM keeps track of what methods are being called and what local variables are being used. For example, if a program calls a method called calculate grade, a frame is created on the stack with all the local variables like grades and score. Third is method area. This is shared area where the JVM stores information about the classes in our program. It includes things like the structure of each class, like its methods and variables, constants and static variables. For example, if a class book has a static variable like total books, this information is stored here. Fourth is program counter, that is PC register. This part keeps track of the JVM instruction that's currently being executed. For each thread, if it's running a loop in a method, the PC registers point to the current iteration in that loop. Fifth one is native method stack. This is similar to the stack, but it is used specifically for parts of a program that are written in languages other than Java, like C or C++. For example, if a Java program uses a native method to perform system-level tasks in C, this method's execution details are stored in the native method stack. These different memory areas helps the JVM manage our program efficiently, making sure that it runs smoothly and handles resources well. Moving to the 9th question, what happens in the JVM when we run a Java program from the command line until the program terminates? When we run a Java program from the command line, the Java virtual machine begins by loading the main class and any necessary additional class from the compiled files. It then checks and sets up these classes, making sure everything is correct and ready for execution. The program officially starts when the JVM launches the main method and starts a program task such as computations or file operations. Throughout its run, the JVM manages multiple tasks, memory allocation, and cleanups unused memory automatically through garbage collection. Finally, the program concludes either when the main method completes or if it is terminated with a command like system.exit. At this point, the JVM shuts down and freeing all resources and performing any necessary cleanups. This whole process ensures the programs run efficiently and exist cleanly. Moving to the 10th question, what is difference between young generation and old generation memory spaces? In Java memory management, the heap space is split into two main areas, the young generation and old generation, each with a specific role in garbage collection. The young generation is where all new objects are initially placed. It's smaller and cleared out frequently as most new objects don't last long. It consists of three parts, the Eden space where new objects start and two survivor spaces where objects move if they survive initial garbage collection in Eden. If objects continue to be used and survive multiple garbage collections in these spaces, they are eventually moved to the old generation. The old generation, also known as tenured generation, is basically a larger and holds objects that have been around for a while. What is JIT? JIT stands for just-in-time compilation. It's a method used by the Java virtual machine to make Java programs run faster. Instead of interpreting Java code line by line as a program runs, JIT compiles part of the code into format that computers process can understand and execute quickly. This compilation happens while the program is running at the exact moment and the code is needed. Hence the name is just in time. This makes the program run more efficiently and improves performance. What is the difference between a Java interpreter and a JIT compiler? The Java interpreter and JIT compiler both execute Java code, but they do so in different ways within the Java virtual machine. The Java interpreter reads Java bytecode, which is an intermediate form of our program, and executes the instruction one at a time. This method is straightforward but slow because each instruction is interpreted every time it needs to run. On the other hand, the JIT compiler enhances performance by translating the bytecode into native machine code at runtime, which means the code is compiled just before it's executed. This process allows the JIT compiler to optimize the code dynamically based on real-time usage, which can significantly speed up execution. While the interpreter offers simplicity, the JIT compiler provides efficiency, especially for frequent executed code. Moving to the 13th question, is the JIT compiler enabled by default in the JVM? Yes, the JIT compiler is enabled by default in the JVM. Moving to the 14th question, can you describe class loaders in Java? What type exists? Class loaders in Java are essential components that dynamically load classes into the Java virtual machine at runtime, enabling efficient execution of Java application. There are several types of class loaders. The Bootstrap class loader, it's a part of core JVM that loads the core Java libraries from the Java home lib directory. The second one is extension class loader. It basically loads the classes from the exterior directory, that is Java home lib exterior, and any directories specified by the Java X direct system properly. And there is another one, the system application class loader, that loads classes from the application's class path, which includes directories and jar files specified by the class path environment variable. Moving to the 15th question, what is garbage collection and how does it work in JVM? Garbage collection in the JVM is an automatic way to memory management. It finds and removes objects that are no longer being used by a program, which helps free up memory and prevents memory leaks. The JVM keeps track of all the objects and periodically checks which one are no longer needed. It then deletes these unused objects, making space for a new one. This process happens automatically, so developers don't have to worry about manually freeing up memory, ensuring that the program runs smoothly and efficiently. Moving to the 16th question, what are the difference between various garbage collectors in Java? Java has different garbage collectors, each with its own strength. The first one is serial garbage collector. It uses one thread to do the garbage collection, stopping all other threads while it works. It's simple and good for small application, but can cause long pauses. The second one is parallel garbage collector. It uses multiple threads for garbage collection, which helps improve overall throughput. It's better for larger multi-threaded application, but can still have noticeable pauses. Third one is concurrent mark sweep collector. It aims to reduce pause times by doing most of its works alongside the running application. It's good for applications needing low latency but can be more complex to manage. Fourth one is G1 garbage collector. It splits a heap into regions and collects garbage in a way that balances pauses times and throughput. It's designed for large heap sizes and helps manage pauses times effectively. Fifth one is Z garbage collector. So basically it is designed for every low pause times and can handle very large heaps. It works mostly concurrently with applications, minimizing the interruption. Moving to the 17th question, how can memory leak occurs in Java even we have automatic garbage collection? Memory leak can occur in Java even with automatic garbage collection because of a few reasons. One reason is when objects are still referenced by other objects or data structures, so the garbage collectors cannot remove them. For example, if we put objects in a static collection like hashmap and forget to remove them, they strain memory. Another reason is event listeners or callbacks that are registered but not properly removed. They keep references to objects that are no longer needed. Sometimes third-party libraries can cause leaks if they keep holding onto objects. Also, inner classes and anonymous classes can accidentally keep references to their outer classes and causing memory leaks. Moving to the last question, can you tell me what algorithm JVM uses for garbage collection? So JVM uses multiple garbage collection algorithms such as mark sweep, mark compact, and generational copying depending on the collector chosen. Hey guys, if you find this video very helpful, then please make sure to subscribe this channel. Thank you.